Good morning. My name is Joan Claybrook. I'm Chair of Crash and former Administrator of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. I was struck by the truck crash numbers with North and South Dakota being very, very high up on this. South Dakota, I think, is 20th there. Is that right? And the chair of the Senate Commerce Committee is a senator from the great state of South Dakota. And he has done nothing on truck safety to improve truck safety, all these years. And so we're going to give him an opportunity to right that wrong, and we're going to ask him to adopt these features in the next bill that comes before his committee, and where there is the opportunity to do so. On behalf of the Crash Board, I do want to extend my sincere appreciation to Natalie, to Steve, to Peter, Monica, Laurie, and Lee. Their courage in sharing their personal tragedies and working to implement solutions to prevent others from suffering the loss of a loved one in a truck crash is so remarkable. I don't think people who haven't had this kind of loss really understand how hard it is to get up and speak in public about this loss, and the rush of issues and concerns that you experience in the course of doing this. So much of the devastation, destruction, deaths, and injuries that result from truck crashes are preventable, as you have heard today. Yet lawmakers continue to pander to special interests at the peril of our safety. This situation is contributing to long delays, repeated anti-safety attacks, and outright dismissal of common sense and overdue truck safety regulations. Truck crash deaths and injuries are climbing unabated, while special trucking interests are in the driver's seat, so to speak, pushing their agenda and spreading a lot of cash throughout the United States Congress in order to get their way. The major jump in truck fatalities is especially alarming when compared to what is happening in Europe, as you've heard a little bit today. While we're experiencing more carnage caused by truck crashes, the European Union has been on a downward trend, as this top chart shows, quite dramatically. According to a new report released today by the Truck Safety Coalition, between 2009 and 2014, that 5-year period, truck crash deaths in the U.S. went up by 15%. 15%. Well, in the European Union, they went down by 25%. And we're going to talk here for just a minute about why. The report reveals that the EU has prioritized safety by requiring common sense, cost-effective, and available technologies on trucks to protect both truck drivers and other road users. And as one of our speakers mentioned, truck driving is one of the most dangerous occupations in America. And the proof is in the pudding. In the EU, the truck crash fatality rate per million population is 7.7, while in the US it is 12.65. It is past time for the U.S. to step up our efforts and get serious about truck safety. And a lot of that can happen if members of Congress who we're visiting today take the lead. For instance, in 1989, the EU required side underride guards on truck trailers. Some of you may remember the Tesla crash, this electric car that had a very serious crash when the car went underneath a truck on the side because the electronic system in the Tesla could not see the difference between the white truck and the white sky, and so it didn't operate to stop the car. If there had been a side guard, it wouldn't have gone underneath, and the man was killed. This was decades before, 1989 was decades before Laurie's son Michael was killed in a side underride collision. Despite years of advocacy and real-world experience showing the life-saving benefits of improved underride protections by family members like my fellow Crash Board member Jennifer Tierney, there is no mandatory requirement. There should be, there isn't. We have to get it. In 1992, the EU required large trucks to be equipped with speed limiters, as you have heard. Yet, in the 10 years after that, Steve Owen's son, Cullum, was killed by a speeding trucker. Now, nearly 15 years after his death, a final rule requiring speed limiters languishes at the U.S. Department of Transportation, also known as DOT, and more than 10,000 people have died in crashes involving speeding trucks. This is totally unacceptable. In 1991, Congress mandated a rule for entry-level driver training for commercial motor vehicle drivers. And yet more than 25 years later, and by the way, after lots of litigation in which my organization that I headed for many years, Public Citizen, was involved, we still don't have a rule. In 2015, Peter, Monica, and their sister Natalie were severely injured and their parents needlessly killed by a truck driver lacking the adequate training and skills to operate a big rig. DOT has dragged its feet, and some segments of the trucking industry have abetted in that delay, despite repeated lawsuits by safety organizations demanding that a sufficient rule be issued by DOT in a timely manner. Even worse, the rule about to be issued does not include a minimum number of behind-the-wheel training hours. I mean, really, if you don't have the training hours, how are you going to learn? In contrast, the EU required entry-level driver training with a minimum of 20 hours behind the wheel in 2003. It seems such a basic notion, an essential safety prerequisite, to require minimum hours behind the wheel training before getting behind the wheel of a massive 80,000-pound rig to drive at high speeds on our roads in a mix of traffic with you and me. Most recently, in 2012, the EU required large trucks to be equipped with automatic emergency braking. DOT, however, shows no signs of requiring this proven and effective technology on trucks. In 2015, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, which has the authority to do this, granted a petition for such a rulemaking by the Truck Safety Coalition, Road Safe America, Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety, and the Center for Auto Safety. Yet 2 years later, there's been no action at all. Each day of delay requiring this life-saving technology, which is considered to be one of the most important steps that could be taken to prevent truck crashes as well as car crashes, where there's also been no action on a federal rule. More people, such as Natalie's husband, Brian, are killed in these preventable truck crashes. All of these safety technologies are available, they're affordable, they're already standard equipment on trucks in other countries. This is really shameful that the United States does not do this. These other countries are saving lives and saving money for trucking companies and the public. It is time for Congress and DOT to act now. No more outrageous excuses. We can no longer allow special trucking interests to subvert safety by having their friends in Congress roll back safety rules, increase truck size and weights, and ignore truck safety crisis on our roads and highways. Congress should direct the U.S. DOT to take action on these long overdue rules. The problems are clear, but so are the solutions. We need our nation's leaders to stand up for the public and stand firm against special trucking interests on safety. Each day of delay, as each of us in this room knows, means another day of needless deaths, unimaginable grief for families like those with us here, and unacceptable voids in federal safety protections for the public. Thank you very much, and thank you to all of you for coming, and thank you to Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety, which has also helped very much to put this conference together.